is our project that we're going to be doing, and I've already built some tracks in here, so you don't have to watch me build them and put them together, that kind of thing. But I do want to, I do want to show you all of this. First, I'm going to mute these two tracks and let's watch the video itself. I'm going to give everybody this video, and it's up on Canvas, and you're going to make the soundtrack to it. And you can have a lot of fun with that. There's a lot of potential there for things to do. I'll just show you some basic things. So I recorded this, way back when we had a studio. So my vocal quality sounds a lot better than what's coming over my computer. And I just did these wild lines. Now we're not making any room tone or anything like that. We're going to fill these spaces with sound effects and music. And so here's.
I'm telling you, the car just died on me. It just died. The car just died on me.
All right, so we got it there. I know it's not very loud, but that's what we got because that's what I got there. So we've got this part where he's playing a character. Here's the same actor. Oh, same actor. We got to hear this person here who is doing the announcer part.
Because life sucks without a car, your next call should be Ugly Duckling Car Sales.
All right, so these are our clips that we've got. We've got to, put fades on them, right? You want all your clips to have fades. Now I can go and do them individually, but Pro Tools has a really cool thing where you can do batch fades. So if I click and drag across all the places that I want a fade to be, so now I've got all these highlighted. If I go up to edit and go to fades and create fades, and these are batch fades, all right? And this is the fade up, this is the fade out. If we had any cross fades, we have cross fades that you can do. You can pick the kind of fade, but I just kind of like the linear fade. It works really well. And it might come up at I think the default, it comes up at 10 milliseconds. That's not enough. So you need like 100 milliseconds to make the fade. So this is all set. Go, okay, and look at this. We've got fades on all of these kinds of things here. Let me take a look in there. See, there's our fade. And then you need to go back and listen to all your fades and make sure that they're right. Now this might be right, but just so that you know, you can take your trim tool and this needs to come out some more. You can make this come out, or you can bring it back. You don't want to really fade up on your dialogue. What you're trying to fade up on is the room tone or the air around it. All right, and you just kind of play it back.
I'm telling you.
All right. And then keep going over and across each one of these. I'm going to see if there's one that really needs to be fixed here. That's pretty good. And we could bring that out a little bit. All right.
Just died on you.
Yeah. That one could be brought out a little bit. If you grab it here, you're going to change the length of this fade. If you grab it over here, so always grab it there. You can push it out that way. You can push it out that way. Right. So you want to make sure you listen to everything that you cut. All right, before you pass on it.
Guard just. Guard just.
Okay,
Guard
but
just.
So let's say we've done all that. You don't want to watch me do that all night, but that takes a while. There's some other things I want to do too. So I just have this guy talking on the phone, right? You might want to have him having a conversation with somebody else. That's up to you to decide. Okay, so if you did, then you'd have something, another track in here, and they'd be talking with each other. But we're only going to listen to him. I want to make it sound like he's on the phone, right? So I have an insert. You get the inserts right here, right? You can find them here. That's the insert, right? And I'm going to insert a plug-in. I'm going to insert an EQ, and there's a really nice EQ here, 7-band EQ. And there's a couple of different effects you can use. They've got a telephone here, this telephone 1 and telephone 2. I, by preference, like 2 for some reason, because the bandwidth here is a little wider. So when we play this, so he's over, sounds like he's coming over a phone. I want to package his audio a little bit too. So I'm going to also add a compressor to that. So that's a dynamics, and here's a compressor right here. And I think for this one, I'm going to just a vocal leveler just to bring it all up a little bit. I'm telling you, the car just died on me. And I can bring up the gain a little bit.
Car is officially dead now.
All right. Well, if I did that there, why not do it for this guy too? Now this is our announcer, so he's going to get a different EQ. He's just going to get a regular old male vocal EQ. So vocals, there's a vocal cleanup. Maybe I need that. I tried Solidify. It's too, for me, it was a little too heavy-handed. I just kind of like this one. And so.
Because life sucks without a car. Your next
and that's a lot better than what it was. And I'm also going to add some compressor to that. I'm going to add a little bit different one, just a vocal compressor.
Because life sucks without a car, your next call should be.
And you can see the gain reduction happening here.
Car.
So we got those on there, and that's our dialogue track that we're going to use for this. Let me show you some of the other tracks that are going to be part of this mix when we get it done. Now, typically you do the dialogue first, right? Because Michael Moore said that was like the most important thing in his film was the dialogue track. So you get the dialogue edited and mixed first. You do kind of a work in progress mix. You don't do a final mix on this, but you do something that's really close enough. And then you do the dialogue. After you do the dialogue, then you do the music track. And I've got a music track right here. If I click on this, there's my music track that I've got. And I use some Pink Floyd because I just like the way this particular track sounds kind of lonely. So let's listen to this. And I needed to extend this, so I did a crossfade right here. And that's the big pitch right there. So that's why we have that little kind of thing going on there. And so we're all good there. Now, I didn't put a crossfade here. Let's do a crossfade or fade really quick. All right. And tiny one there. I know this fades out, but let's do one here. We got a little fade there. Okay, so we did the music track. That's all I'm doing for the music in this. And then I'm going to bring in, well, there's a lot of sound effects going on here, right? We got what happens over here. We got what happens over, boom, boom. All right, we've got the big deal here, right? We've got our explosion right here. So this is going to take a whole bunch of different tracks because there's all sorts of things going on. So I want to show you this. There's our explosion, but then it threw some gravel up in the air, and it threw some more gravel up in the air, And there's also breaking glass, of course, because it's a car, right? So there's some glass that went up in the air. And then here's also some metallic things, because think about this. You have an explosion, boom, but everything that goes up must come down. So that's the other half of the explosion. There's an explosion, but then there's all these debris that falls down. And so that's what all of this is. And so, some of this is synced with other things, some of it isn't. And then I did something else, and this is when I got done with the mix, is that I put these guys all in a track, or excuse me, in a group. So I go like that. Now they're all grouped together, and if I want to unmute them, I can mute them, unmute them. And if I need to bring up, let's say I need to bring up the whole explosion, then I can do that right here, and it'll bring everything else up. And I'll show you how I did that. If I go click, and then I go shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click, then I can go to track, and I can group the tracks, right? And then you get this little prompt, and these are the ones that I've shift clicked it on. If I wanted them out, I could highlight it and move it over here. If I wanted one of these, and I move it back over here. And there's different things you can do with it. You can do an edit group, where if you use the tools, you make an edit and it'll edit it across all the tracks. You could do a mix group, and a mix group is if you did one of these things like muted them all, or brought the volume up, they would all come up together. But if you did an edit on a track, it wouldn't do it on all the tracks in the group. Or you can do a mix and an edit, and you can apply them on all of them. Well, what I did on this one, this is just a mix group, all right? And so when I mute it, I can mute it there, but if I needed to do some crazy edit here, I would get away with it there. So I've got the explosion. Let's listen to the explosion a few times until you get tired of it, right? Let me make this bigger. Pretty cool, right? Notice that. So there's things falling down here. And then here's the last piece. All right, did you hear that? It fell down, and it sounds like I put some reverb on it too. I think I did. There's some reverb there and reverb on here to make them sound a little bit bigger. Of course, what's also happening the whole time, oh, and so if I ungroup them, you can ungroup them there. So now they're ungrouped, but once they're highlighted, then they're grouped together. Then there's something else that happens, right? And that's fire. So where's my fire track? Right there. Because the fire happens pretty much the whole time. Boom. And the fire's happening throughout the rest of the piece pretty much. There's one part where I dumped it out because I wanted to come back with fire when I want to go away from the scene and then go back to the scene, right? But that's what I did. That's the decision I made. You don't have to. You can do it your own way. And then also I brought in some animals, all right, for effect. And notice that I'm putting everything on its own separate track, right? So because you want everything on its own separate track, so you can so that the editing goes better and and you get more isolation. Now I put in wolves over here because wolves sound kind of lonely in the desert, so that's the only effect. Watch some TV. I got these dogs, right? And I didn't realize this till I started watching TV with my dogs, how many times there's dog sound effects in TV and films, all right? And it's there to punctuate the silence and make people sound lonely. So I thought I'd put some wolves in here. Because life sucks without a car. That's the way you feel without a car. And then I totally ripped off Game of Thrones. You know, in Game of Thrones, they have crows. So I thought this would be a great way just to open the piece. So in case you're away from you're getting up from the TV and then the commercial comes on, the crow's there to wake you up and bring you to attention. All right, and so that's all I did. And notice that he's got some reverb there too. You can kind of hear it reverberate. Right, and then so these are what they call cut effects, the explosion, all the gravel debris, you know, even the crow and the wolf, because they're really, you know, really defined effects. The fire is a softer effect, but I had to put it in because there's fire. And then I decided I wanted one more soft sound effect, and that's wind over here. And the wind is pretty interesting because it is just me going like this. Now, wait a minute. If I've got some reverb right here, if I mute the reverb or bypass the reverb, that's just me making a sound effect into the microphone. I'm not blowing into the microphone. I'm just kind of going with the back of my throat and making that sound. And you know what? This is actually really true to life. I'm going to play you a video later on about sound effects. And Foley people, they get really good at doing things like making up horse snorts or doing cats and dogs and chuffing and you know, animal sounds. You would think that all they have to do is pick out a funny sound and pitch it down and make it sound that way. But a lot of what the Foley effects people do is that they can also imitate animals and other kinds of Foley effects. So wind is something that you can do pretty much on your own. See, here's the bypass. So here's the whole piece. If I go option click, then it unmutes everything. Let's listen to the whole piece.
I'm telling you, the car just died on me. Just died. The car just died on me. Yeah, the car is officially dead now. Okay, I need a new one. Because life sucks without a car. Your next call should be Ugly Duckling Car Sales.
And this part back in here, this is a good place to put some sort of, you could put some sort of punchline. You know, I didn't put anything in here because I don't know, I guess I was lazy, but this is kind of unfinished in my mind, because I could have put in, oh man, my mom's gonna kill me, you know, because he was using his mom's car, or oh man, you know, my roommate's gonna kill me because you know, or, you know, oh man, the pizzas, you know, and you know, so I could put a punchline right there, right? Okay, so those are some things to look at for your videos, and put those together. Can we get a thumbs up on that, or are people just there, you know, all right, great. Any questions about your deal? Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, hit me.
Did you make all of the sound effects yourself?
I made these, but I got all the rest of these off of, I have a couple of links, all right, on Canvas in this assignment, and I got that off of one of the links there. It's not Sound Bible, it's the other, freesound.org.
Okay.
All right, you have to register for freesound.org, but they don't do anything with your registration. I think it was just my email and a password, and they've never bugged me once in the years I've been with them. So you can download and check them out that way. Of course, I got Pink Floyd off of an album, and this I made up, right? And
sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and just be as creative as you want. You know, have fun with it, and you know, make it sound as neat as you want it to be, right? Any other questions about this? Okay, I've got